Are you currently in a relationship with eyes wide shut? The crux of this type of relationship is where one party deliberately denies, willfully ignores, or is purposefully blind to things going on inside the relationship, things that should raise alarms or red flags. Eyes wide shut refers to a state where, for the sake of this conversation, a woman chooses to close her eyes and to ignore something glaringly wrong right there in front of her. If this defines you, or a loved one, then please hear the rest of this video. Our goal is to assist you in taking the mask off, facing reality, and learning how to unlock a deeper, more fulfilling connection, while building a future grounded in love, honesty, and genuine and open communication. Stay with us to the end, so you don't miss any part of this eye-opening journey that can transform the way you perceive and approach your relationships going forward. Let's begin. First, for the sake of this conversation, we're talking about romantic relationships, but in truth, this conversation can be applied to any relationship you have with another person, be it with family members or close friendships. The emphasis is the same, and that's you, and I'm going to be personal here by saying you are deliberately choosing to ignore or deny uncomfortable truths in your relationship by turning a blind eye to what's happening around you. You're deliberately and purposely living in ignorance, choosing not to see or acknowledge certain things. You're often doing this to, in your mind, maintain what you feel is a sense of security, or to protect yourself from the consequences of facing the truth. Sisters, perhaps we've just said some very hard to hear things, but by now you know we're very upfront and honest with you, as we are with our own selves. And we have to be honest, or we'll all be living in a dream world, growing older each year, and completely missing out on the wonders of being in wonderfully fulfilling, and yes, empowering and uplifting relationships. Now hear this, there are various reasons why a woman will walk around in a relationship with her eyes wide shut. She could be so deeply invested in the relationship, years in it, and she's now afraid to confront any issues that could potentially threaten the stability of the partnership. As a result, she's choosing to overlook or minimize problems, convincing herself that everything is fine. Then there's the fear of confrontation, or being afraid of something in the relationship changing. Addressing problems in a relationship can be hard and really tough, depending on one's personality, and so the woman here might fear the consequences of bringing anything up. She may worry about arguments, breakups, or disrupting the status quo, so she'd just as soon avoid addressing the issues altogether. Next is low self-esteem. A woman struggling with low self-esteem or low self-worth may believe she doesn't deserve anything better, or that she can't find a healthier relationship, so she may as well stay in an unhealthy one, thinking that having someone is better than having no one. Next there's dependency. This is a difficult relationship to bring up any issues or challenges in, because the woman is financially, emotionally, or socially dependent on the partner. Any one of the three can make her hesitant to confront problems, or leave the relationship. Then there's this, sisters, something we've mentioned before, and that's cultural or societal pressures. This is where societal or cultural norms are influencing women to tolerate unhealthy behavior in relationships, causing them to ignore obvious or problematic issues. We've said this dozens of times, which is why we speak so cautiously with you, and why we should all be loving and understanding with one another, right? Here in the West I have something called First Amendment rights. This is the right to freedom of speech. So I can literally go downtown where I live, and get on my soapbox, and literally say out loud everything I'm saying here to you, without fear of arrest, jail, or a beating when I get home. Just so long as I'm not impeding traffic, or on private property, I'm okay. If I were from some other country, or a member of a different culture, where there's no such rights or country-wide protection, I could be fined, tossed into jail, or go home to a beating. Which is why we will not tell you to leave a relationship, or stay in one. We'll advise you to find someone in your village for that type of personal or direct counsel. Someone who's physically in the environment with you, who can give you advice, talk it out with you, and to protect you. Then, there are those women who stay in eyes wide shut relationships because they're actually in love with their partner, and hope things will improve or change. With her eyes wide shut, the woman in this relationship is blind to the reality of the relationship's problems, and to the reality that things may never change. Dear sisters, it's important to remember that having eyes wide shut in a relationship can be damaging in the long run, as unresolved issues can lead to increased unhappiness, emotional distress, and even harm. If you suspect that someone you know is in such a situation, it's essential to approach the matter with sensitivity, and to offer support and understanding to this sister. Be gentle and understanding with her, and non-accusatory, while encouraging her to be freely open with you, assuring her you won't judge her. If it's possible in your culture, providing resources for professional help, or counseling, can be beneficial in helping someone in this situation. If that's not possible, try to find someone in your village or environment, a maternal elder or wise woman other women have come to depend on, to seek help and support from. Ultimately, the decision to address the problems and seek help must come from the individual herself. Again, sisters, our roles are never to judge our sister, or to make her feel bad by saying "I told you so." Let me assure you she remembers you cautioning her with regard to the relationship, and she's kicking her own self about it. Though you may want to shake her, embrace her instead, and hug her, telling her straight away that you're not going to judge her, but you're going to be there for her. Now we've chatted concerning the various reasons why a woman would stay in a relationship with her eyes wide shut. Next, we want to briefly chat about the mental, emotional, and potential physical toll being in such a relationship can have on one's overall well-being. Here are sisters, the point of this is to show you that it's not okay walking around with your eyes closed in a relationship. Walking around with your eyes shut will eventually lead to you being hurt or suffering. Sadly, we must say that things are less likely to change in the way you want it to, and it's more likely that things may get worse for you. Then, sisters, being blind to problems in the relationship can lead to emotional turmoil. Unresolved conflicts, feelings of resentment, or unhappiness can accumulate over time, causing significant emotional distress and eroding one's mental well-being. Then, and this is quite significant, and that's the potential loss of one's self-identity. By ignoring her own needs and desires, in an attempt to maintain the status quo, a woman can lose touch with her own identity and sense of self. This can lead to feelings of emptiness, as she becomes disconnected from her own desires, passions, and goals. Then there's developing codependence. With one's eyes wide shut, one can easily avoid addressing issues in the relationship. This can foster codependent patterns, where the woman becomes overly reliant on her partner for validation, self-worth, or emotional support. This codependency can lead to an unhealthy and imbalanced dynamic in the relationship. Further, keeping problems hidden can lead to a sense of isolation, where a woman feels she can't confide in friends or family about her relationship struggles, fearing judgment or shame. Can't you see how ignoring or tolerating unhealthy behavior from her partner can normalize such conduct over time? All this serves to do is to perpetuate a cycle of toxicity in the relationship, resulting in the woman shutting her eyes all the tighter. Then dwelling in a relationship with eyes wide shut can actually result in health issues. The prolonged stress and emotional distress of being in a relationship with one's eyes wide shut can lead to anxiety, depression, insomnia, and can even manifest physical ailments. Can't you see that by ignoring or tolerating unhealthy behavior can result in this very behavior being normalized over time, perpetuating a cycle of toxicity in the relationship? Then there's the loss of boundaries. As chatted in our previous video to this one, we discussed how ignoring red flags or issues can lead to a breakdown of healthy boundaries in the relationship. This can result in being susceptible to further mistreatment or manipulation. Can't you see how avoiding relationship issues can hinder one's personal growth and development, resulting in missed opportunities for self-improvement, positive change, and overall growth? Can't you see why it's crucial for those in relationships to be able to safely and honestly address and confront issues openly and candidly? If a woman finds herself in a situation where she's keeping her eyes wide shut, seeking support from friends, family, or professional counselors can be beneficial in gaining perspective and finding ways to address the challenges in the relationship. Remember, healthy relationships are built on communication, mutual respect, and a willingness to address and work through problems together. Finally, let's touch briefly on the benefits, for you, of being in an eyes-wide-open relationship. First, you'll find that this type of relationship leads to open and honest communication between partners. Thoughts, feelings, and concerns can be shared without fear of judgment, leading to a deeper understanding of each other. There's the building of transparency that builds trust in a relationship. There's acknowledging problems and addressing them directly, which can lead to constructive conflict resolution. Being eyes wide open and vulnerable with each other fosters emotional intimacy. Sharing hopes, dreams, and yes, fears creates a deeper emotional connection and a sense of safety in the relationship. Eyes wide open can result in a healthy respect for boundaries, support during challenging times, discovering ways for healthy conflict resolution, the establishing of realistic expectations, mutual empowerment, emotional security, deeper intimacy and passion, and long-term satisfaction. Lastly, how can you get from eyes wide shut to the eyes wide open benefits we just discussed? It starts with self-reflection. What are your feelings, needs and expectations, and what do you want from the relationship? What will make you happy? Then here's a biggie, and that's, identify red flags or potential issues from the very beginning. Do you see patterns of disrespect, emotional manipulation, lack of communication, or any behavior that doesn't align with a healthy partnership? I'll share with you the old adage I was raised with, and that's, watch how he treats his mother. To that I'd add, watch how he treats his sisters, aunties, female cousins, and so on. Ultimately, how does he treat the women in his environment? Because my dear, he will likely treat you pretty much the same. Listen dears, he can show you better than he can tell you, so observe his actions, and not just his words. You want to determine if his actions align with what he says, and if he demonstrates genuine care and commitment. Consider whether your long-term goals and values align with his. Determine what you're willing to compromise on and what issues you're dug in concerning. Lastly, you want to be honest and realistic with yourself about your partner's behavior, and whether it is acceptable or not. Avoid making excuses for behavior that's harmful or detrimental to your overall growth, happiness, and well-being. Trust your intuition, your gut feeling and instincts. If something feels off, or doesn't sit well with you, pay attention to those feelings and explore them further. Then you want to talk to trusted friends, family members, or village elders to gain an outside perspective on your relationship. They can provide valuable insights and help you gain clarity. Set boundaries from the onset. This will ensure that both of your needs are respected. Remember that opening your eyes in a relationship is a process, and it may not always be easy. However, being honest with yourself and facing reality will ultimately lead to greater self-awareness and the potential for a healthier and more fulfilling partnership. So embrace the journey of self-discovery, and with newfound awareness, you can navigate the highs and lows of love with confidence and strength. Together, as a village, we can all break free from the shackles of eyes wide shut and create a future filled with love, honesty, and genuine connection. Hit that subscribe button, like this video, and share if you found it insightful. Thanks for watching. Until next time.